Since pretty much the beginning of mankind, men everywhere have been after one thing. And as we've seen time and time again, men will do almost anything to get it. But why? And what is this one thing? The thing that pretty much every man on the planet is after is status, because status is intoxicating. Status is why Bond always gets the girl in the end. The reason why your status as a man is key if you want girls to actually notice you is because status is the one thing that girls care about almost more than anything else. Girls do not seek a rich man for his money. They seek him for the status that his wealth can offer them. Girls don't seek doctors and lawyers because they want surgery or because they need to strike a plea deal. They seek these men because these titles hold a massive amount of status or a massive amount of recognition within our society. You see, when pitted up against a man's physical looks, wealth, or pretty much anything else that you would think girls are looking for, guess what beats all these things out every single time? The answer is status. There's really nothing that a man can have that is more irresistible than status, and all these things that we tend to chase as men, such as a high-paying job, a nice car, a nice house, nice clothes. All of these things are simply tools that are used to convey the one thing that is the most important, or the one thing that girls find most attractive, and this is, you guessed it, status. But the majority of guys out there are not rich and famous like most of you watching this. So the next best thing that you guys can take advantage of are some powerful ways to convey status to other people without spending insane amounts of cash or being some famous movie star. These are the 5 commandments of high status men. Number 1, social intuition. Social intuition is something that all high status men possess, and there's something almost magical about a man who can finesse his way through a bad social situation, whereas most guys would just get emotional and start throwing punches. You see, a keen sense of social intuition basically allows you to sell salt to a potato chip. And the better your social skills get, or the more that you master your social intuition, the easier it will be to convey great status to women all over the world and to pretty much anybody that you come into contact with. Number 2, always set the frame. All the highest status men in the world have something in common, and it's being able to bring people into their world. You see, when you're around a man with great status, it's really hard not to feel drawn into their world or into their frame. All the guys who convey low status allow other people to set the frame for them rather than setting their own frame that everybody else can follow. Now, the reality is that not everybody is going to allow you to bring them into your frame or into your world, but that's never really the goal anyways. The goal is to have a really strong idea of who you are as a man and what you want out of life and out of the situations that you find yourself in. Setting your own frame is simply viewing reality the way that you want to see it or the way that you want things to be rather than allowing others to set it for you. Example, think about the last time that you saw the police. How did you feel? If you are like most people, you probably felt like you did something wrong even if you didn't, just by simply being around a police officer. You see, most people, when they are interacting with the police, allow the police to set the frame, and they automatically frame themselves when they get pulled over as being the bad guy. Almost like they did something wrong even though they did nothing wrong. But what if, when the officer walked up to your window, you chose to behave in a way that made it seem like the officer was the one in the wrong for pulling you over and for wasting your time? The odds are pretty high that the officer is most likely not going to submit to your frame, but it doesn't really matter. What matters at the end of the day is that you set your own frame for yourself and that you held that frame no matter what somebody else says or does to try to shake you or to try to move you out of your frame and into theirs. When a cop walks up to your window and he says, "Do you know how fast you were going?" And what he's doing is setting the classic frame of you being the bad guy and him being the guy who is going to serve you justice. You see, in this situation, most people will immediately admit guilt and they will accept this frame by default, but not men with status. It's super useful to understand that girls naturally look to men to lead, and this is really great because it makes it that much easier to pull them into your world, or to pull them into your frame, which is the one where you are attractive, you're confident, you're high status, and you are desirable. Or to pull them into the frame where you are the one who is the catch. Number 3, never look away. Now, before you guys go out there and get yourself punched by some guy in Walmart because some guy on the internet told you to make eye contact and never look away,
know this.
Most lawyers, doctors, wealthy businessmen, and other high-status men use eye contact as a form of power and as a way to convey status. Strong eye contact is especially seductive around girls because it conveys to females that you have status and that you have power, even if you're not wealthy, even if you're not extremely good looking, and even if you can't get her a plea deal from the prosecutor. Number 4, high standards. Take a really attractive female and have her walk by pretty much any guy out there. Notice how many creepy old dudes will shamelessly check her out and basically stare at her like she's some kind of piece of meat or something. Trust me when I say that you do not want girls to place you into the same category as these creepy old men. And one of the things that fully sets high status men apart from those who have little to no status is standards. You see, many girls out there will actually come onto a guy really strongly, not because they like him, but because they want to test him. And if you were to immediately accept her behavior towards you in this situation, then you would have failed the test. Because famous movie stars and musicians have in-your-face, impossible to ignore status, so they are really picky about the girls and about the people that they spend their time with. And on the flip side, guys with no status will accept pretty much any offer from any girl at any time without any requirements needing to be met. Now, if you're over there staring at some girl's backside as she walks by you when you should be doing whatever it is that you were doing before she walked by, you're literally telling her that you're just like every other low status guy who is super desperate and who will take anything that he can get. Most of the time, it is girls who are qualifying the guys. But men who have status flip this frame completely on its head, and instead they are the ones who are picky, and they are the ones who are qualifying the girls. They are the ones who want the best for themselves. They are the ones who drink the grass-fed milk, because those milk ain't seen a day of grain in their life. There's no way around the fact that high status men have standards and they don't just settle for whatever comes their way. What you guys have to understand is that girls are incredibly good at detecting the difference between guys who have status and guys who don't have status. And it's really easy for them to see how men with status act compared to men who don't have status. And so what you want to do is be the guy with standards, be the guy who isn't so easily impressed by any girl that walks by him. Number 5, non-reactive. Ask yourself this. When Bond was in his car with bullets hitting the bulletproof glass repeatedly in the same spot to the point where it almost seemed like it was going to shatter at any moment and he was going to lose his life, what did he do? The thing that he didn't do was freak out and duck for cover. What he did was stare right at the guy who was trying to take him out, and then at the exact precise moment that it needed to happen, he pushed a button, threw the car into gear, and floored it. And while the car was doing donuts, bullets were flying out of his car, taking out all of the 20 guys who were surrounding him. This is an example of non-reactivity. This is staying cool, calm, and collected while under pressure. But not just any pressure. Men who want to convey high status stay cool and calm and collected under social pressure. Staying cool and not cracking under social pressure, along with the other high status commandments mentioned in this video, are some of the easiest ways to convey to other people, especially girls, that you have some form of status and that you are a man who knows his true value. And high status men will always be desirable in the eyes of girls and in the eyes of most people. And with that said, until next time, thank you guys so much for watching.